Hey, good morning and welcome to the Morning Call Show. I'm Bob Sellers here with Jerry Burke, a couple of former cable news guys, trying to take a look at what is the right and wrong in between the right and left. Jerry, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. I got a bunch of stories in the rundown today
Okay, let's
for
do it.
you, Robert.
And just so
Um,
people know, Jerry, we haven't talked ahead of time. We both just
no,
take a look at what's going on. So this
yep,
is the meeting.
yep. And this is a good one for you because talk about the difference, but the right and the wrong between the right and the left.
Okay.
This article from the Daily Mail, the headline says Trump's desperate move to stop the looming midterm bloodbath.
Okay.
I'm like, wow, that's pretty
That's
strong.
quite
I
a
wonder
that's quite a headline. Yeah.
what is he doing? Uh, the crux of the story: Donald Trump will allow 300,000 tons of ground beef, hamburger,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
imported tariff-free over the next 3 months in a
Yeah.
bid to lower food prices, as Republicans brace for a potentially disastrous midterm. So you think this the solution is more hamburger?
They're trying everything they can because the grocery thing, affordability does matter, and people are paying more at the grocery store and they're thinking this could help. It's interesting that he's trying to circumvent some tariffs, but we've been told that tariffs are not inflationary. And we also have been told that socialism is bad, yet this is literally the government going out and making ground beef available cheaper and kind
No,
of
well, it's
taking
only
the
bad when the other people do it.
exactly, exactly. So, yeah, this administration is a little worried. I don't know how you feel, Jerry. I don't think it's going to be a bloodbath, but I do think that it's tipping toward the Democrats. I just think with
Yeah.
gerrymandering, it might not be as bad as it otherwise would be.
Well, you remember, I don't know if you still have that debt clock thing, but it's officially
Oh, you
crossed.
mean
It
this?
officially crossed there. You see that?
Yes.
$40 trillion of national debt.
Yep. Let me show you something, Jerry. People might look and say, like Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, said, well, that's just a number. That's true. That is a number that you've contributed almost a third to as far
Yeah.
as that debt. I think three out of every $10 that's been added by Trump, either Trump 1 or Trump 2. But let
Yeah.
me show you why the national debt at that level matters. Because the government has to borrow money, but it affects you folks. If you're reading this, looking at this, this is how it affects you. Borrowing costs go up because the government is borrowing money. It competes with everybody else who is trying to borrow money. So investors can pick and choose who they give it to, and the government has to raise the rates to attract people. There is
Yeah.
pressure on taxes because they start looking around saying, you know what, maybe we need to raise taxes to deal with this, or maybe we need to cut spending. Again, a higher debt level means these things. Number three, the currency. We're talking about the dollar. The dollar is going down in value combined with inflation going up. They're kind of connected. So as the dollar goes down in value and inflation goes up, those have an effect on all of us. You need more money to pay for that
Yeah.
ground or whatever it might be. So when people talk about this, bugs me, Jerry, is when
Yeah.
politicians say we're leaving this debt to our children and grandchildren. No, I got news for you. You are paying a price for a high debt right now, and those
Yeah.
are three ways right
Yeah.
there.
Because it affects everything and mortgage rates and new houses. And
Yes.
um,
Can
the
I
other
throw
big
in? I don't know
problem,
if you're going to follow up how the government is trying to deal with this. The, the,
uh,
the
no, because I'm more worried about Iran, actually.
okay, I thought you might move on. So let me just address this for a second.
Yeah.
The Treasury Department has decided to buy some long term bonds. Let me explain what the Treasury Department is doing. Because they're worried about the midterms, they are worried that mortgage rates are going to keep trending upward. They're going to worry that interest rates stay higher. So, what the government is doing is entering the market, and they're doing that by borrowing money in short term IOUs and buying long term IOUs. And since they're doing that, that brings down the yield. So it ostensibly makes it look like Bond yields are coming down. Mortgage rates are coming down. Oh, maybe things aren't that bad after all. But no, the markets are the markets, and they can
Mm.
see through this. And this is a temporary effect. By the way, this program ends on November 4th. When's
Uh,
the election? November
right.
3rd. So
Yeah.
they're trying to make it look like these interest rates are not continuing to trend higher because we owe a lot of money. They're trying to make it look like interest rates are coming down. They are not. And part of that is because of what the government is doing. But this administration, the Trump administration, is taking this step again for the midterms to try to make it look like interest rates aren't as bad as they are.
Well, where do they get the money to buy those products in the first place?
That is a
Do they just
fabulous
have a
question.
printing press?
They are borrowing the money. They are literally borrowing the money on the short term and buying the bonds in the long term. So that has a tendency to drive up the rates in the short term a little bit, and it brings down the rates on the long term. But the reason they're doing that is they're willing to risk that short term blip up to make it look like the mortgage rates and the rest are
Yeah.
going down. But
Yeah.
they are
Okay.
borrowing the money to do this, Jerry. It's not like they're making money out of this. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so economically,
Yeah.
uh, along the same economic terms, Trump has announced that he is going to bring down an economic D-Day against Iran.
Yeah.
He is announcing today, he says, I am announcing the most crushing economic operation ever taken against any other country.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, he better get
yeah.
China on board because China does a lot of business with Iran. And if China doesn't go on with it, it doesn't really matter. And China
Mm,
has some leverage with the United States as far as what we can do toward them. They have rare
yeah.
earth minerals we need. They're a big market for us. They're a big market, by the way, to borrow our money, or actually that we borrow from. They invest in our bonds, not as much as they
Yeah.
used to. They got rid of a lot. But this is big talk again. Like he said, he was going to destroy a civilization, right? He has the
Yeah.
trouble. The problem is the Strait of Hormuz. He can't control it. Calling it U.S. territory, preposterous. This is a problem.
Well, also getting back to the right and the left and the right and the wrong,
Yeah,
there's there is a new analysis of uh, bias among the media. Okay,
yeah,
and
right.
that the the story is the most promoted news outlets on Apple News and Google have not endorsed a Republican in the last 10 presidential elections. The
Okay,
latest sign of alleged anti conservative bias by the popular news aggregators.
okay. And what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, it just it's confirming the bias that I guess I already had. That of course I know the mainstream outlets like Apple and Google. They're they're staffed with a million 20-year-old 30-year-old news writers who lean left to begin with.
Does that matter?
Yeah, it does.
Why?
Where do you get your news? I mean, the first thing I
I
do is
get
I
it
go
all
on.
over. I get it all over.
I
I
look
go
on Google.
first.
Well, I look on Google first. You know, you
Okay,
have to start somewhere.
right.
You know, so but
Well,
now I know to look at Google with kind of a jaundiced eye.
um, as well you should. I mean, every outlet should be looked at with the jaundiced eye. I guess I get fatigued by hearing how, oh no, the media's left wing. Well, it's kind of like when people use the term, you have Trump derangement syndrome. Why? Because you oppose a war that he started, inflation that he's contributed to with tariffs, because he's done a number of things to make life harder for many Americans. That's deranged. Maybe it's deranged to support whatever he does. I'm only throwing that out as an example. It's kind of like, well, if they endorse the Democrat rather than the Republican, some would argue that the Democrat either did or would have done a better job. And the
Yeah.
past elections goes back to what? George W. I haven't done the math on that, but it sounds like they must have endorsed Gore, who actually won more votes, and they may have endorsed Hillary, who won more votes and didn't get the presidency, obviously, because of the electoral college. But here's when I would have a problem with it, Jerry. I would have a problem if you couldn't get news that was more conservative, right? If all you could get was liberal news. But I go to right wing and left wing platforms. I mean, nowadays you go to Washington Post, and it's interesting to see they have become a little more conservative. Obviously,
Hmm.
Fox is going to be conservative. You've got New York Times going to be liberal. I'm not an idiot, so I look at both and realize where they're coming from. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Google, to me the problem I would have with any of that with Google is that they're supposed to be a search engine, right? Or supposed to be playing fair. They're not supposed to pick a side, right?
Uh-huh.
So I get, but I don't know. As long as you can get both sides, I think it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a couple others. I have two other stories.
Yeah,
One is our old friend Eric Swalwell.
yeah. You like that
Uh,
story?
he was he was met at the airport by the FBI, who seized all his electric devices and his laptop. They grabbed
Yeah.
his phone and his laptop, but then they served him with a search warrant. Uh, but I they didn't arrest him. They just let him go. They just seized all his stuff. So I don't know what that story is about, really.
Um,
And they
well,
searched his home in D.C.
Um, yeah. So I think there are people that may be alleging sexual harassment. Are you there, Jerry?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just reading the story. There's four women who have made public accusations,
Right.
which ended his campaign for governor of California at the
Right.
time. Uh,
Yeah.
now,
I'm a little
I,
leery. Now, wasn't this was an effort by the Department of Justice?
yeah, yeah, the
Um,
FBI.
yeah. That makes me a little uncomfortable because it seems like this kind of thing. But if it was as a congressman, maybe that's appropriate if they're researching for that. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't want to take his side on it. I'll simply say there has to be a lot of trust that you're doing it for the right reasons. If there is a legitimate effort to try to collect information related to sexual harassment allegations, that's okay. However,
yeah,
if you're politically trying to use the service to investigate you to make your life a living hell, as you have to pay for lawyers and you have to deal with court
yeah,
dates and deal with allegations that may or may not be true, that's something else. But I don't know enough about it to know which side is right.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've got the outrage story of the day here.
Okay.
That that is a migrant man in a long tunic, and he's doing his laundry in a scenic river up in Maine using laundry detergent. So the bubbles, the river, the stream was filled with bubbles as he scrubbed his laundry against the rocks.
Don't they
Now,
do that in the Ganges in India? I've never
yeah,
been.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
get this. A number of people in the comment section of this story leapt to the man's defense, including one person who pointed out that the man may have been using marine safe soap.
and you and I would just say, don't wash your stuff in the river. Which river
Though
was it?
it was a scenic river in Maine.
In
Maine.
Maine. Yeah, I've been to Maine. Beautiful, beautiful state. Yeah, that ain't right. You should
Oh,
not be doing that.
uh,
No.
so, but that's all I have. Do you have anything?
Let me see what I have here. I can't remember what other stories. That was the Hoover Dam we talked about the other day. What else did we talk about?
Oh, yeah,
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 bond sell off. We kind of talked about that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
what else we have? Yeah, that's just the version of what's going on. I think we're at a time right now where that $40 trillion debt is hitting hard because it is a number that gets a lot
yeah,
of people's attention. And there are a lot of people watching the stock market's reaction to Jerry. We don't talk about the stock market too much, but we both worked at CNBC and we know that it's an important component of
yep,
what investors look at. And here is what's interesting going on. there's a lot of demand to borrow money. Part of that
Yeah.
demand to borrow money is to build these data centers. And you build the data centers to support what all these LLMs, large language models, are doing, all the OpenAI and ChatGPT and all the rest of these uh, apps that are using the information and cranking it out.
Yeah.
What happens if you borrow all this money, you build the data centers, which is putting in billions and billions of dollars into the economy? And
Yeah.
what if in the short term or midterm, the the companies like OpenAI and ChatGPT can't show a profit, at which point they can't justify building more data centers. So the companies that build the data centers can no longer borrow the money to build them. I'm just worried, could that have a pile-on effect in a negative way in the stock market?
Well, why is there such antipathy towards data centers? What's so bad about them?
I think it's a combination of things. Number one, they don't look good. Loudoun County's right near me. I've been out there. They look kind of post-apocalyptic because there aren't many people around them. Now, don't get me wrong, there are. They employ a lot of people when they're being built. You can see construction going all over the place. They're creating more electrical substations to supply electricity to them, more water. So a lot of people are employed to build them. But once they're built, they eat up a lot of electricity, and they get, in some cases they're getting tax breaks. But in Loudoun County they paid over $1 billion in taxes and tax revenue for the local
Yeah.
county, so they like having that. So I guess to answer your question, how they look, the fact they don't employ a lot of people, and they
Yeah.
compete for resources with water and especially electricity with the
Yeah.
general public. So that concerns a lot of people. And then on the other side, they would say, well, good luck searching your large language model without these data centers. You need them. And we're employing people when we build them, and we're contributing tax revenue when we operate.
Wow. Very good. I love that piece that you did on data centers with all the B-roll that you got.
Yeah.
It's showing like three cars in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. After they're running, they don't need a whole lot of people. They need the people to service the data, the computers that are inside there. I don't want to trivialize it, but
Yeah.
here's another thing that people have asked: is at what point do those huge data centers with all the computing power inside them become obsolete because of advances in computer technology? I mean, you and I on the phone, right, have more power than they had in the Apollo that landed on the moon.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that something? I mean, there's more computing power in the phone, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So, uh, do they become obsolete? I don't know. There are a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have all the answers, but I think what's interesting to me, Jerry, is I've seen the argument that some pro data center people are making is, well, you still want to search, don't you? You want your AI, don't you? And that's supposed to intimidate people. Oh, well, yeah, I want that. But
At
even
what
Republic,
cost?
yeah, exactly, because the argument is that it is going to take jobs, right? AI will replace jobs. I don't know that that's ultimately true, but that's what a lot of people expect. So a majority of both parties oppose data centers. And how often do you
Yeah.
see?
No.
No, don't usually see that. So
No.
I think there's
Okay.
more to come on those. All right.
Yes, more to come. All right, good show. Thank you,
All
Bob.
right. If only I could figure a way to get out of this.
And breaking news changes everything. How about that?
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Don't mess with the Kennedys.
Thank you.